Let me start with public relations. So, public relations to me is turning strangers to friends, friends into business associates or customers by fostering sincere, honest, and mutually beneficial undertakings. So, that is PR. So to boost any other business, we all need PR, public relations. It is a bit odd for me talking about public relations because I was poor at public relations before, and so how from then until now, having learned to relate with others, it has been a journey and it wasn't easy, but because I was passionate and I knew myself, I knew my calling, and I was passionate to change myself for the better, I am able to pave my way through. I was not even confident. So I also I couldn't deal with anyone. I didn't want to dress up. I was the rugged type. And in fact, during the very first few, like my first few years of public speaking, I was a lousy dresser. And people that used not to believe me with my credentials because I used not to dress up well. And so, I had to study again. I had to do all these things and I had to spend money on myself. I had to invest on myself. Okay, so now let me just put it this way. Now public okay, let me just say it again. Public relations is turning strangers to friends because as business people, we cannot just rely on our family. In order for us to boost our businesses, we need strangers, right? So changing strangers to friends, and then when they become your friends, you turn them into business associates or customers by fostering the keywords. Okay, remember, sincere, honest, and mutually beneficial undertakings. So why do public relations matter? People act and react based upon their notion of facts, not what you think, but what they think. So what they think is more important than what you think. So by influencing people's viewpoint, the goal of public relations is to affect perspectives and behaviors that will lead to the fulfillment of an institution's or person's agenda. So when public relations successfully change people's opinions, decisions, and actions through persuasive techniques, the primary objective of public relations campaign is achieved. Now let me move on. How can we succeed in our public relation campaigns? So to achieve success in our public relations campaign, we begin by identifying our current situation, and then set your public relation goals. Do you have it? Okay, let me ask. Do you have? Do you know yourself? Why are you an architect? Why are you there for? Okay, these are the things that you need to ask yourself before you can even boost. You can have a lot of followers. You have to ask yourself. I asked myself this before. I wanted to be a public speaker. I wanted to be rich. I wanted to be recognized. Who am I? What do I have? Um, what did God equip me with? And in relation to his calling, what am I doing right now? What do I have? What, in other words, we need self inventory. We need self inventory. This is so important. So, to achieve the objective, you have to create a strategy and implement the key communication tactics. Communication is everything. In public relations, communication is everything. Okay, and then monitoring of progress of our campaign. Okay, and then adjust it accordingly until you attain your target. So what makes public relations really good? Well, I'm sure that you all know Seth Godin. I love Seth Godin. So Seth Godin is one of the most admired authors and entrepreneurs. Once said that people do not buy goods or services, they buy relationships, they buy stories, and they buy magic. So, are you good at public relations? Are you good at relationships? Are you good at telling your stories? Are you good at magic? Okay, speaking of stories, I would like to highlight our Miss Philippines candidate for Miss Universe. If you listen to her, she's got very good stories and she can tell her stories with all honesty, and everyone actually can empathize with her. And with that, she was able to gain a lot of fans and followers, not only in the Philippines. I'm watching her because I like her success story. And I like her stories. I like her stories. And very simple, very populist, which is the trend during this century, populist stories. And she's very populist, you know, very candid and very raw. I think that's her key selling point, is that she's raw and she's honest, she's sincere. Of course, she's beautiful. Okay, so good relations sell. Good relations sell. And of course, good stories sell. So, okay. So good relationship has something to do with mutuality. Okay, let me just correct this. We Filipinos always would like to be uh, underdogs, or we don't assert, we don't assert mutuality in a relationship. We want to run after people. We want to be underdogs. We don't want to be treated as equal. But we are equals. This we have to know, that for us to be successful in public relations, we need to also receive what we give. We just don't keep on giving. We should also receive. Okay, let me just highlight this one. See, good relations sell, but we cannot enter into a very good relationship with our clients unless we are also good towards ourselves. And that's why when I meditate every morning, I always tell myself that I'm willing to give and I'm also willing to receive. We just don't give. We also must be very willing to receive. We must not only let other people feel good about us, we should also feel good about them. There has to be a reciprocity everywhere and whatever we do. Okay, so good relationship sells. So mutuality governs any relationship. One-way traffic does not and cannot make a successful relationship. So always remember that. No matter who you're dealing with, he can be your boss, he can be your husband, he can be your friend. Always remember, mutuality is the key to good relationship, and good relationship sells. You know why I'm stressing on this? It's because when it's not selfishness to assert on your needs as a human being. So if it's your boss, you have to assert respect from your boss. He cannot just push you around. You're not a rag. You're a person. You're a human being. So you have this right. So you should tell yourself that good relationships sell. So let me just okay. So good relationships sell. Now, how to achieve very good relationship? That's going to be another module, which I will not be able to cover because I only have 18 minutes. I mean, 18 minutes. Okay, so I will not be able to cover that for now. But let me just go through this after. Okay. Well, I suppose I'll be hearing a lot of questions from you, and I hope I'll be able to answer. Okay. um, Consistency sells too. Okay, consistency. You have to be very consistent. Um, okay, I have 2,500 architects. I started. Okay, by the way, I got a job. Okay, during this lockdown, I okay, a day after the lockdown, I got a job from an Australian company, and the reason why I met architect Yumang, it's because of that. I was hired to be their business development consultant, and so I I spoke with the owner of CDA Pro App, and he told me that he attempted to launch his products in the Philippines, but he was very unsuccessful. And so he was successful. He succeeded in Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Singapore, but he wasn't successful in the Philippines. And so I interviewed him, and I found out that there were some things that he did that were not acceptable to the target market of his portfolio. So now I realize that his portfolio actually is attuned with the mission and vision and goals of civil engineers, architects, and so I think I should say that I'm on my path to to being successful in terms of this job with this Australian company, because following this PR, following this PR content that I wrote in my book. Okay, so consistency and dedication sells. So, consistency. Consistency is attuned to passion. It is always attached to passion. You cannot be consistent in doing anything without being passionate with what you do. So, and you cannot be passionate with what you do if you don't love what you do, and you cannot love what you do if you don't love yourself. So everything is interconnected. You have to love yourself. You have to love what you do. You have to love others. So everything starts, the key is you. So consistency sells. Consistency sells. Like when people see your passion, like you keep posting this every day, and all through those years, people see you doing the same things, improving yourself, calibrating yourself, um, and then they see you um, repackaging yourself. They see you improving, climbing the ladder, and they get awed. And that is good public relations because they see the consistency in you. And then dedication sells. When people see you to be so passionate, so dedicated with what you do, you're so dedicated as a business person, you're so dedicated as an architect. You're not just there to post the designs of other people, but you're there and they see you creating magic. As I've said, magic sells. So you should be able to provide your target consumers magic. What is magic? We all have that magic in us. We all have the charisma in us, just for us all to know that we are born on earth equipped. We just need to tap on that. Okay. So again, being consistent in everything that pertains to your business establishes credibility for your product and your company. A lapse in the quality of your product or service, in the accuracy of your advertisements, on the sincerity of your promotion will lead to questions about your overall credibility. So consistency helps manage perceptions. It connotes professionalism. If you're consistent, you're professional. It connotes professionalism, purpose, dedication, focus, and sincerity. If your customers see these attributes in you and in your services, they'll be more confident rather than distrustful. Okay, just to give you a nutshell of what I did in my career, I um, all those clients that I had for 15 years, I never even had met them. But they paid me in advance because, online, okay, I started as an English tutor online. And then after that, I saved money and I studied. And then I enrolled in many different institutions. And then I became an international lecturer. So I just developed my way through. And Deborah Levine, the one who wrote the foreword of my book, was in my LinkedIn network, and she has been an active business ally. In fact, like 2 years ago, she asked to be a part of her advisory council. So I'm a part of the advisory council of the American Diversity Report. That was 2 years ago. But way back 2008, she was already in my network, and she saw me.
Grabe, 14 lang kami.
I think she saw me. I think she saw my mistakes, and then she saw me upgrade myself. And then I think she saw me angry. She saw me laugh. She saw me reconcile with people, reconcile with myself. She saw me on my ugliest days, and she saw how I rose. And okay, to and how she, and then I approached her. She was already a big star. I was already reading all her, she's a prolific writer. She graduated from Harvard. And 2 years or a year ago, she was recognized as one of America's five most successful migrants. And it's an honor that she respects me and she respects my work. And so she even wrote the foreword. And before I approached her, I had a business partner, a British professor for a business partner. And when I finished this book, I asked him to read it. And you know what that guy said? Mary, only your helper will read your book. And then I said, can you give me 5 reasons why you said so? She said, well, it's very ordinary and so on. You know what I told him? This is the age of creativity. You just don't understand what creativity means. Because I said, if you'd like me to write in Queen's English, I'm not gonna do that. In fact, I said, if somebody else is going to edit this book, I'm just going to tell that person not to touch anything because I want to sound like Mary and I don't want to sound like anyone else. So, having heard that from my business partner, I went to Deborah and I said, Deborah, I wrote a book and I'd like you to read it and maybe help me with it. And then she went through it and I said, it's just fantastic, Mary. In fact, you inspired me and you don't need to rewrite it. And I said, please, I know that you are really an outstanding. You are you're an award-winning author, but I don't really want to sound like you. I just want to sound like myself. So that I said, okay. And then she said, yeah, that's fantastic. You have to got to be yourself. So I said, yeah. So I published it, and okay, I published this in 2017, and so far I was able to guide many people, like especially young entrepreneurs, and I'm so happy to be able to inspire them and for them learning from my mistakes. And so, well, we still have a lot of things to talk about, like charisma, positivity, humor. The nitty gritty of this, I would be very willing to share with you. I have here some photos. Okay, these were actually my book. I lifted. Okay, the chapters of my book, I lifted them from all my social media posts in LinkedIn and in some of the magazines where I was invited to contribute, in my Facebook profiles. Okay, so let me just show you this because I think this is going to be very relevant to all of you. Well, that other one is, okay, this one. Okay, so, wow. Oh, wait. All right. That guy over there, uh okay, that was taken in Korea. He was okay, like what I started, what I told you, I started as an English tutor online, and then my students succeeded and they became entrepreneurs. Some of them are international consultants now too. And this guy was he is an architect. And several years ago, like maybe 12 years ago, he asked me to teach him business English and international relations. And then after that, he established his own architectural company based in Gangnam. That's actually like Makati in Seoul. And I lived there for 4 months, training his staff and even himself and all of them on international public relations and business English. Now he's got 3 offices all over the world: Singapore, Kuwait, and of course in Seoul. And I think they're gonna branch out in Canada soon. Okay, so let this story inspire you. Now let's open for the, okay, questions and answers.